And but right now, taking this discussion forward, I have Captain Alok Bansal joining us, and I also have Pathikrit Payne joining us at this point. Before we go across to our guests, just quickly look at the problem of demographic alteration. When you're changing the demography of that particular place, what it results in are instances like in Seemanchal and in Jharkhand, where suddenly it became about Jummah holidays and enforcing Jummah holidays, claiming that we are at least 75% of the population, and what is it that our writ will run. This is unnatural, is what observers are saying, who have been looking, and census researchers are saying this is unnatural because this is against the trend across the country. Now, what's happened here? There's a surge in Muslim population due to illegal migration. This is what IB and SSB sources are telling us. There is a surge, and 90% of the Nepali Muslims have been pushed towards this Madheshi Terai. But what's happening is that amongst these Nepali Muslims, you also have Rohingyas and Bangladeshis. What's also happened is 694 madrasas and mosques have been set up in the last 2 years itself. So the question is, if these people have nowhere to go and they're fleeing and they're coming to India to find a place to settle, who's giving them so much of money to set up so many establishments in 2 years itself? Rohingyas have been brought in via Nepal border. Fake Aadhaar cards have been made and distributed. The illegals have been declared as legal Muslim families because they've been embedded. There is seeding which is being done. Say, weeding out illegal immigrants becomes very difficult because these people come as members of existing families there, who claim to be there for nearly 2-3 decades. So even if they're there for 2-3 decades but without valid papers on land that does not belong to them and where they should not be, does that legalize them and legalize their stay in India is another question. The PFI is suspected to be helping immigrants gain influence. This is what IB and SSB sources are telling us. And look at the numbers. The numbers then talk about itself. Over the last 40 to 50 years, 1961 to 2011, 1971 to 2011, the demographic shift itself speaks volumes. Supol, the Hindu population growth is 215.7%. Of course, larger population. So you should have a higher number. But look at the growth of the Muslim population. This is unnatural. 365.23. Similar case in Araria, similar case in Kishanganj, where it's nearly 300%, 350% plus growth of the Muslim population, which experts believe is unnatural, and it's happening because you have got illegals, non-Indians, non-Indian Muslims who are coming there and living illegally, embedding themselves and trying to alter the demographics. So then let's look at Purnia. Purnia again, 207.58% Hindu population growth, but 331% here. Look at Katihar. Less than 200% growth in the Hindu population, but nearly 342% growth in the Muslim population. Similar case with Madhepura, 200% growth in Hindu population, 314.66% growth in the Muslim population. These numbers should itself baffle people. And since 2011, Alok Bansal ji, we've not had a census. We don't have census data for nearly more than a decade and 11 years now. So the things could have changed. And if the fresh numbers come, jaw will drop.
There is no doubt in my mind that if we have a fresh census, the figures that will come out will be extremely alarming. And this is actually regrettable that in our border areas, which are strategically extremely important, especially in Bihar and Bengal, which are very close to what we call as a chicken snack area, there has been a concerted campaign to bring in outsiders and settle them there. And this has been done on both sides of the international border, in Tarai area of Nepal as well as in India. And in fact, this is the area which has been used by all sorts of anti-India elements to smuggle people into India for all sorts of illegal activities that take place in India. In fact, ISI has been using this area to infiltrate terrorists, spies, and all sorts of people. And I think such an activity cannot happen without the collusion of certain members of the state administration as well as certain members of the central police organization, which is charged with the responsibility of guarding borders. Now, these people are obviously failing in their duties because these people are infiltrating, and the numbers and the figures that you have given are absolutely stark and alarming. And I think time has come where a national consensus needs to be built and drastic actions need to be taken. Those officials under whose charge this sort of infiltration has taken place, this sort of demographic change has taken place, must be held accountable and must be charged with criminal conspiracy, and that made to answer as to how this sort of a thing has happened. And I think this is playing with nation security, and I think everybody in the country, both as far as state administration and the central government is concerned, must look at this issue with very, very serious concern and take drastic action immediately.
Look at the security concerns, Pathikrit. Jamatul Mujahideen, Bangladesh operating out of there. Al-Qaeda in the Indian subcontinent operating out of there. People with who are not Indians, who have got fake IDs and are moving out of, entering into India, settling there and then moving and embedding themselves across the country. More importantly, look at this. They have turned the school holidays. They are now dictating when the school should take its holidays. They are already dictating policy saying we are more than 70%. And they are not even Indian citizens.
Anand, you asked what are we doing? Let me tell you, we are in deep slumber as a nation. The police keeps on doing firefighting every day, so they are not bothered about it. I don't know what the Babus do. So far as the regional political parties are concerned, we know what is their intention and what they do. But let me also reiterate, with due respect, BJP has been in power with Nitish Kumar in Bihar for a long time. And what have they been doing? So that's a very big question. And the larger question is, I mean, these policies we have discussed before also, if you remember, Anand, that these age-old policies of open border and allowing people to come in, they were relevant at one point of time. Today, these are self-defeating. Why don't we have a fencing? That is, so if these things are happening, the only country responsible for this is we ourselves. I mean, the Bangladeshis are there to enter, but we are allowing them to enter. We have opened that border. It's like Abel Mujhe Mar, so they are entering. And secondly, tell me one thing, do we have, in spite of all the threats that we have with so many internal security dimension, does India have an internal security doctrine? The answer is no. We do not have an internal security doctrine. We actually still, it's so shocking and shameful that even today we put everything under the garb of things being being law and order, being a state subject. Everything comes under law and order issue. So where is the onus of the central police force official over there to do something? He doesn't know under which law will he stop it. There is no law. There is no anti-infiltration law. There are countries where you enter illegally, you can be incarcerated for decades. In India, what happens? We reward them. There are at least 1 crore Bangladeshis. I'm telling you with lot of confidence, Anand. There are at least 1 crore Bangladeshis who have valid ID, Aadhaar card and voter ID card of India.
No, that is a danger. We have got more than 4 crore illegals, and you are saying nearly 1 crore people who have already got official documents in the country and claim to be inhabitants here. Earlier, Captain Alok Bansal, people would say, I'm from Malda, Murshidabad, when you ask them, and you know very clearly that they are not from India. But that's what they would say, and you know that they have actually moved in from Bangladesh and they have entered because the borders were porous, riverine, etc., and they would get in. The same situation happened in